video games, they go too far.
Yeah.
In that they have great ambition.
Okay.
But like every time that man tries to build his tower to the heavens, it comes crumbling down, and I'm forced to learn Mandarin. Quentin here. I'm fine, babe.
This is Ethan. I'm gonna go. Don't worry, Devin's here. This is Ty. Let's rock and roll!
Welcome to the Power Up Brothers podcast, where we all sound the same and our points don't matter. On this episode, Quentin fights Ty.
You'll die by my hand.
God, I hope so.
I wonder if because this is the first few seconds
People
I need
keep
to
making these promises and then they can't deliver.
Yeah. Do I need to bleep the word he said?
Probably
First
for YouTube.
First 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't say die or hand
or
on
hard
YouTube?
or man.
You said bye.
I'm gonna put subtitles and like you're dyeing him like he's a color.
No, just Quinn,
right.
real quick. Everyone stay silent, and Quinn just say unalive.
Unalive.
There, we'll use that
That
audio
worked better.
clip and dub
Okay,
it
we're
over.
back. We're back with the audio.
Unalive. There's way too many syllables.
Normally I put Falco's little for him, but
yeah.
I'll do unalive.
The
for you.
unalive.
Guys, if you're watching
horrible.
this episode right now when it airs, and because our upload schedule finally got back on track, probably didn't.
No.
But I didn't shut off the eBay thing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I just heard the eBay
Yeah.
notifications.
No,
So that's really great. This is such a
I'm
high...
glad you won your
If you're
bid.
watching
Man, this is such a classy
Glad.
production,
No,
honestly.
if you're watching this, we are 1 week away from the
week.
Switch 2.
Yeah.
Oh boy, man, I'm not
Oh,
ready.
I'm not ready.
I'm
not ready.
shaking with anticipation.
You know, Quentin, a lot of people wanted a Switch 2 and couldn't get it. It's ridiculous that you don't want one.
You
Wait,
don't want
got
one. You got one as a
Please
gift.
allow me to address that and express my gratefulness
Go
for
for
the
it.
Switch 2.
Go for it.
For all of those who didn't get the Switch 2 that wanted it and wanted it much more than me, I just want you to know that all I have to say is screw you, and I don't care, and I'm not even going to play it. I'm going to take that thing back and I'm going to burn it in front of a child that wanted it for Christmas. And I won't regret it.
I promise now
Personally.
we will never give the floor to Quentin ever again. like
Never
that.
again.
Understandable.
He's abused his power.
Obviously. Yeah,
He's
for
abused his
evil.
power.
You know, people are excited about the Switch 2,
Right.
right? And, you know, like much in society, people want me to be excited as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, people have weddings that they're excited for. They have new jobs they're excited for.
Mhm.
They have Switch 2s they're excited for.
Sure.
Right?
You couldn't care less about any of it.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm. I saw Hideo Kojima carrying an oversized case for Death Stranding 2. And he was
Yeah,
walking
right.
around. And I was like, this guy is a genius. He invented a giant PlayStation 5 to play Death Stranding 2 on.
As you described,
He's excited for Switch 2.
As you
Is he excited for Switch 2?
He
as
tweeted
you,
about
as
it.
you described
Oh,
him, I'm trying to think like, okay, you saw him walking around. Immediately, I pictured him under like an underpass.
This was at an
He's
underpass.
just lost.
You were
Like, just
right.
walking
I don't know how
around.
you knew. He was
Yeah.
there. He had a
I
really
pictured him
huge copy.
walking up to Shinzo Abe.
Oh my God, I remember
just
that.
strolling.
Yeah, that was weird.
He had a PlayStation 5 in his hand.
But then he
But-
promised, yeah.
You know what Hideo Kojima asked Shinzo Abe when he walked up to him?
What's that?
What you been playing?
Whoa! What-
Quentin's going to be sitting this one out
Of course.
because
Per usual.
he doesn't play anything.
I don't know
and we're
why.
tired of hearing rants
I
about
would just like to say, so one of my favorite
literature.
gaming facts.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
so Hideo Kojima,
Mm-hmm.
who he was alleged to have unalived. That's a TikTok term.
Yeah.
Unalived Shinzo Abe when that guy was. Here's the TikTok term: unalive, like a loser on the side of the road because
we
he
are
upset
past-
people so bad.
We are past the YouTube filter, so you can.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And one of my
Yeah.
since I don't have a game, to be clear, I'm
Right.
just going to take this moment to say my favorite gaming fact about this.
Okay, sure.
Uh-huh.
So Hideo Kojima, if you don't know him, audience, he is the gaming maestro who popularized the idea that male love is pure, right? And I feel very influenced by that, right?
Do you?
Yeah, big time. It's,
Weird.
It's more pure.
There's never
okay?
been. You've never done a pure thing.
Hideo
in your
Kojima has though.
entire
Hideo Kojima has though. It doesn't have to do with me.
You wouldn't know
Right.
pure if you drank it out of a can.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But my point is that Hideo Kojima is a visionary. He
Okay.
understands the truth
I agree.
about
Okay.
love.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Okay.
But he also allegedly on Shinzo Abe.
Right.
Yeah, allegedly.
Which is
When-
not very loving.
When the new
Yeah.
it was for a good cause. When the news picked this up
Right.
and they certain sites started taking his picture, right?
Yeah.
The main reason that they alleged that Shinzo Abe was executed with the doohickey by Hideo Kojima is that there was a picture of Hideo Kojima
Uh-huh.
in some public place, some cafe in Cuba or something, and on the wall was a picture of like Che Guevara behind him, and it's just like Hideo Kojima just like smiling at the camera, and there's Che Guevara's picture behind him, and they were like, this man, a radical,
Uh-huh.
look at the picture of Che, right? El
Right.
Che is behind him,
Yeah.
and we know that Hideo Kojima writes, games that talk about how CIA is evil, United States is evil, capitalism is evil, technology, guess what?
Evil.
It's evil.
Evil,
Male
right.
love, good.
Smell of good.
He
Male
also
love good.
was
All
wearing
other kinds of
an
love
Ushanka,
evil.
wasn't he?
And there was a picture of him wearing the Ushanka, and it's like, okay, this guy is clearly a fan of the Soviet Union and the Cuban Revolution and these sorts of things. Ergo, he must have killed Shinzo Abe, right?
Yeah.
And this makes you
Airtight
stop.
logic.
It's airtight logic. And so,
Yeah.
I wrote these news agencies, and I was like, it was me. I also fit this description, and I killed Shinzo
You
Abe.
don't
I
fit
see.
the description. You're not Asian.
Oh, well,
He's
no.
Asian passing.
But my point is
He's
that,
Asian passing.
but also,
Yeah,
there was so little information about it at first.
Sure.
How could we tell who it was? What if that guy, he had a mask
Producer,
on?
control your man.
Quinn could
That's right.
pass as like half Asian, half white.
I don't like that.
been called
Yeah,
that.
you
I
probably
don't think
could.
that's.
Probably
I think
good.
I think if you went up to someone and
think-
said you were Asian, like they would believe you.
I don't think we should say that any of
Asian.
this.
This is the worst start
This is
to
the-
our podcast
that's gotta
that's
go.
ever happened.
No mentions of me being Asian.
So anyway, I've been playing Enshrouded recently.
So I've
Again?
been playing the same
Yeah.
games.
Right.
No, we've been playing some Marvel Rivals.
We played some Marvel
update
Rivals.
on that. I recently built a Windows XP machine. It's actually using old hardware.
Yeah.
And I tried to install some old games that I had laying around.
Cool. How'd that
Didn't go great.
Mm.
The cool thing that I did that I'll show you guys after the pod. I might put up like a picture of it. I didn't know this, but in Europe, Nintendo of Europe, they distributed these like skins for Windows XP based around games. Like they did one for Mario Sunshine, one for Metroid Prime, one for Pikmin,
Yeah.
one for Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem,
Yes.
Okay.
a generic GameCube one, a generic Game Boy Advance SP one. They're really cool, and they come with
Slay.
sound effects.
Yeah.
So like,
And this is Europe.
Europe distributed
Right.
them. They're through a program called Window Blinds. That's still a thing now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's still a company now.
Well, and Europe is the nation that doesn't have lead, and that's why the Xbox is terrible.
Right.
Europe's not a nation,
Right? Isn't Europe the
Not
country that doesn't have lead in it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
sure.
That's it.
Yep.
It's
No
like a
lead.
town.
Europe.
Yeah.
The town of Europe.
The town of
distributed
Europe.
these things.
No lead.
Yeah.
Xbox bad.
They banned Xbox and then put out these.
But they
Nintendo.
have these cool things for Windows XP.
It is cool. It comes with sound effects.
Wow.
It was kind of a pain to get working on an
Yeah.
old machine, but it was fun.
Yeah. The
but no games. You got
No,
the
I played
things-
the game I did get running.
Okay.
Is my childhood copy of Tigger's Honey Hunt.
oh
topical.
That's
I
racist.
know.
They
I
used
thought
to
that was a
make
PlayStation
really
game.
good Winnie the Pooh games back in the
Tigger's
day.
Honey
Like,
Hunt
there
is
was this
legit
weird like line of like
Yeah.
you would never guess any of these games were worth playing because they
Yeah.
just look like shovelware games. But
I played a pretty decent Winnie the Pooh game one time.
Here it comes.
You play as this little spiky haired boy.
Okay.
I was about to say,
And
Here it is.
the weird thing is it takes forever to get to the Winnie the Pooh.
It's really
in the
strange.
game.
I played
And
this also.
then- Yeah, I didn't finish it because like it apparently has a little bit of an epilogue where Winnie the Pooh's not around anymore. So I just put the game
well, it
down.
was really
Yeah.
weird in the sequel.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh just like forgets about the character that you play. He's like,
Yeah, that is-
The
yeah.
really weird
Yeah.
thing is that they decided to go in this direction where Winnie the Pooh and his friends decide to hunt you, and you have to close the door,
That was
or they
weird.
murder you. But then they made a movie
That
about
word
it.
has just been in the podcast too
Yeah.
much this time.
Not enough.
guys are tired
I've
and
been
hungry.
playing a game
Called Murder
I think
Party.
maybe I talked about it last week. I can't remember, but it is called Claire Obscure Expedition
Yeah.
33.
Okay, I know
It's
of
really
it.
good.
I've actually heard of this video
It's the
game.
Frenchest game that's ever been made.
Right.
It's a Japanese role-playing game made by the French, starring a bunch of Englishmen.
I just edited our last episode
Yeah.
like a little bit. You said that exact
I did say the
same
exact
thing.
same
So
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
I'm gonna say it next week too because it's
Right.
a big game.
so
Um,
I know about this game
it's quite good.
on account of the fact that 4chan talks about it on V constantly.
Oh, are they
Yeah.
like
since it came out?
woke
I don't.
DEI?
You know, there's been varying opinions. Some people
Yeah.
are like,
A lot of
Final
people think
Fantasy is dead.
Yeah,
and,
return
and
to
this
form
is
for-
this
yeah.
is a return to form. This is
Mhm.
great. Blah 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 blah. There's some other things I'm not going to mention that they like about
Yeah.
it, but they like
Yeah.
that it's got a very
if Final
like, epic
Fantasy
scale.
is dead or not has nothing to do with this game because this is an indie game that's definitely probably going to sell like 5 million at most.
Well, I think
I
you
think-
guys will agree with this. Don't you think sometimes indie games prompt bigger developers to go backwards a little
of course,
bit?
yeah.
Well, and also, I don't think that this is saying it's dead as in this is going to sell better. It's
Yeah.
dead in that everyone is going to see the cracks of Final Fantasy, whereas they're going to look at this and be like, this is pure Kino. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Plays great. What is this? Final Fantasy? That game that everyone bought but isn't as
you
good?
know what's really funny? It has the exact same. I looked this up earlier today. It has the exact same Metacritic and OpenCritic score as the last Final Fantasy.
Really?
15?
Rebirth.
Oh, Rebirth.
Rebirth.
Gotcha.
It's higher than 15. Both of them are.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And they're both, but I feel like the main thing is that if you were a big fan of classic Final Fantasy, we can argue the quality of a game like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but it is clearly very different. They've gone in a very different direction
Yeah.
for their new games. This
Yeah.
is very much a classic JRPG turn-based combat. It has an overworld you move around in instead of being open world. It has, a lot of the things. Now, I will say I am a little bit surprised, and I wanted to talk about this.
Sure.
This could be a topic, but maybe I feel like it's too small to be a topic. I associate RPGs with games that don't require a huge amount of like mechanical skill.
Yeah.
They require a lot of like strategy and thought because you often have like a lot of time to plan out your moves and maneuvers.
Yeah.
And I'm very surprised that games like this are really hitting it off with the old school RPG crowd because the entire game is about Elden Ring level precise parry mechanics.
I have heard
You
that.
have to, if you don't hit on the pixel,
Yeah.
gonna get hit.
you're gonna lose, and you can't. This is not an optional component. You must do
Yeah.
this to play the
Nice.
game.
It's like
Nice.
Paper Mario.
And-
where you need
Yeah.
Oh, it's 100% Paper
Mario
Mario.
RPG.
It's 100% Mario RPG.
okay.
Somehow
That's cool.
Nintendo was again 40 years ahead of the curve and invented the modern JRPG.
Yeah. They just
but
wouldn't come out for
it just wouldn't
20
come out
years,
forever.
yeah.
But they've been the Mario RPG series, the Mario and Luigi series, been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
You interact with your attacks, and then you have to do precise parries. And in this game, unlike necessarily like Mario RPG or Persona, the timings are very precise. I love this. I'm an Elden Ring player. I beat the DLC.
Mhm.
I love parry mechanics.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not that big of an old school RPG player. I played a lot of RPGs, but they were more in the like PlayStation era and forward, and a lot of action RPGs. And so I'm very surprised that the old school RPG crowd is like, I love this game, even though the skill set I developed playing my classic RPGs is useless, and I need to play Dark Souls to be good at this.
I think this is
why does it work?
This is a safe space for me to say this because the friend that would ostracise me for this definitely doesn't watch the podcast.
Doesn't.
But I'm a Dragon Quest guy.
Yeah,
I love Dragon Quest, and
I couldn't tell.
The biggest thing about Dragon Quest is that Final Fantasy often goes like, well, we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
And Dragon Quest goes
is like,
really,
yeah,
and then it sells better.
It's the John Cena meme of.
That's the other thing I love is that like people are shocked when a JRPG comes out and it's like super high quality and it's very popular and sells well. Yeah. And I go, where were you people when Dragon Quest 12, like
11
or 11 was like a masterpiece of a game? Yeah. Sold like gangbusters. Like these are very popular. So like it's just that Final Fantasy is so associated with the JRPG and has moved away from being a JRPG.
And they've modernized Dragon Quest. Like it has like modern graphics. They switched it off of the old school. A lot of RPG fans can forget about this. Where in old school RPGs, you had to tell all of your heroes what to do, and then the battle phase started.
Yes.
Whereas, as soon as they got to 4, I think, you would like tell Cecil what to do. He would attack. Yeah. Then it would be an enemy's turn.
No.
But here's my question.
So Dragon Quest moved away from that and went to newer stuff, and they let you do things like get the first strike. 11 introduced that you can like walk up to an enemy and hit it,
which Claire
with the sword
also has that.
Which that was also I think it was first introduced in Mario RPG. You can like attack.
It's definitely in Mario RPG.
It sounds to me like these developers are pretty familiar with the genre, and they've incorporated elements from a lot of different things to make a very solid game.
Yeah.
Here's my point. This game, Claire Obscura, right?
Yeah.
They made for $33. Okay. Now, here's my point. There were only 33 people that worked on it. It was $33. Okay. It costs more than $33. One sale, they made all their money back.
Right.
And a profit.
Right.
That is a great business model.
That's a pretty great business.
That's first.
It would be a great business model if it were true.
Yeah,
and
if that were true. Yeah, that would
but
be,
here
that'd
is
be great.
the kicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you look at comparisons from the Final Fantasy Rebirth, right?
Yeah.
Which I believe is the same engine. Is that right?
No.
No? What's the
Rebirth is made on a modified Unreal 4 engine.
Right.
Claire Obscura is Unreal 5.
This makes a lot of sense. Okay, that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Claire Obscura, $33 game for the whole production, actually has lighting.
It does have better lighting. I mean, it's not an open
really
world
nice.
game, so the graphics in general are quite a bit better.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Than any
they look
open world
nice.
game.
Some of the faces are a little scary. I've seen some pictures where I see some of the faces.
Unreal
I've
has
seen
that.
nothing for this game.
Unreal has that.
But there's some nice
it's
lighting.
quite good.
Some nice lighting.
I like that they use a lot of fisheye lens, which I just think is a cool look for if you're not going open world, right? If you're in that like closer, tighter perspective and there's less to see, it's nice to see a little more of it every once in a while. So like when like it zooms in for an attack, sometimes like the fisheye lens will really catch a lot of the background and then kind of make you feel like you're moving really fast.
That's cool.
Fisheye lens in gameplay.
Clearly, they've got a lot of talent in the art direction. department.
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, everybody should buy the game. How much does it cost?
It is $60 on Steam, I think, $70 on console.
No one should buy it.
It'll probably be $80 by this time next year.
Oh goodness!
If they say more than 60, you never buy it. They only made this game for $33.
Oh yeah.
Don't give them more than 60.
Buy it and use your share account with a friend so that you both pay $30 for it.
Oh,
okay.
There you
All
go.
right, that's actually not too bad an
Buy it
idea.
with a friend.
What if you've got 12 people? Wait, how many can it have? 8 people? 6 people on a Steam shared library?
Keep low, right?
3 people?
I believe there's 8 in a family.
33 people.
Okay,
there should be
8.
The game
in a
only costs
family.
$1.
Okay, so that's really, when you split that up, that's like nothing.
I'm trying to remember if I kicked Quentin off of our family group on Nintendo Switch.
I really
don't
hope
think
so.
I did.
I really hope so you
I don't
did.
think I did.
You know,
really
I don't
hope
know,
you
but
did.
it's going to come in handy with this new Nintendo Switch 2, which you don't have, and I do.
Since you can we can send you digital games now.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
we could
Look at
already
that,
do that,
right.
and it was better.
It was better.
Do you remember when on the Nintendo DS,
Yeah.
that was a console we played?
Yeah, I
Right?
remember
It was.
If you had
yeah.
one copy of Mario Kart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody could play
which
with
you can do it again
right?
now. They're
Game
bringing it
share
back.
is a thing, yeah.
See?
Now, I'm excited because I'm very curious. The first time someone this would blow my mind. This would blow my mind.
All right.
What if Nintendo's like, hey, we have a game that utilizes game share really heavily, and it's
Yeah.
called Nintendo Land 2,
Oh my god.
okay.
and you have like one person on Switch.
Given the
Being
paid
Luigi's
tech
Mansion
demo
Ghost.
that they announced with the
Yeah.
Switch 2, I don't think it's happening. But
No, probably not.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I'd pay $100. I'm gonna say it. Don't let
Well,
Nintendo hear,
Speaking
but
of
I would
price,
pay $100.
they just the Ask the Developers article for Mario Kart World came out.
yeah.
And it's so sad that article did a much better job of. Now, here's the thing: is that like debating. I'm not here to debate the price thing of Mario Kart World being $80, but Doug Bowser and Bill Trennan were like, well, if the $80 price tag doesn't make sense, wait for the Direct. The Direct was a very basic overview of the game.
Yeah.
It was like if you didn't know anything about the game, it was good.
Yeah.
But if you had been following anything, including Nintendo's own feed, it was nothing new. That Ask the Developers,
It was a lot better.
it's like, oh, I at least get why they wanted so much money, because Mario Kart World's development began in March of 2017,
right.
when the original Switch came out. That's when they started development on it. It only switched to Switch 2
I see what you did there.
in 2020. Now, I'm not saying that the article justifies the price, but it at least makes sense.
No, I like the developer ask articles for everything. They did one for Hyrule Warriors as well, and then they there was another game I think they've done a developer asks article for Switch 2. I love them all.
They've been doing a bunch
like
of them.
Creator's
Hyrule-
Voice.
Creator's Voice is a really good series too, because they're doing them for like they did it for
Small
Split Fiction and a bunch of other things.
If I
are great.
was the overlord of Nintendo, right?
Doug Quinton, if you will.
I would be Doug
Doug
Quinton.
Quinton.
And my business model would be to trick them, right? To just trick them all, okay?
because you're a trickster.
And I'm a trickster. I'm a little trickster.
You're a little trickster,
okay?
you little scamp.
A little
I'm going to
scamp.
interrupt your trickster because Ethan, you haven't told us what you've been playing,
What have you been playing, bro?
and I feel the clock ticking.
Yeah.
You got 12 minutes.
So,
Oh, it's not ticking that fast.
It's really not ticking much.
Not really.
Since we know that it's not
I
ticking,
think it's going backward.
as the
Oh, yeah, okay, you're the
overlord
overlord.
of Nintendo,
Doug
the
Quinton's
way
back.
that I would trick them, right?
Yeah.
Is that I, rather than release this extremely expensive, terrible console that no one even wants and nobody got, okay? Instead of this
The Wii U,
horrible, gross
The Wii U,
failure,
yes.
right?
Right.
I would start re-releasing old stock of old consoles, DS, for example, right? And I would,
Old stock.
yeah, like old, still like in the
Surely
box.
they have
you know,
some
they,
in a warehouse.
yeah, they've got
somewhere
them in
that they haven't
warehouses in
sold.
Vietnam
Yeah,
and things
sure.
like that, right?
Sure.
I would begin selling those as retro style
Yeah.
because people my age and younger, on account of the pollution, they're dumb. They've lost a lot of their brain power compared to, people in the ancient world before plastic
microplastics in the
existed.
brain.
Yeah, all the microplastics.
Sure.
They will buy plastic things if they think that it's retro,
Yeah,
right?
because it's a part of them now.
It's a part of them now,
They'll buy
and they
and
feel
eat it.
Yeah, they feel it
They're
like it's like
It's
returning,
in their brain.
I'm
it's like-
also
Yeah.
plastic.
it's like
Yeah.
returning to the mother's womb. It's
Yeah,
just this
right. It
comfort
feels
to be
good.
surrounded by plastic.
Curl up in a
Yeah.
Dreamcast.
You curl up in a Dreamcast and spin like the disc.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Exactly.
I would
Yeah.
sell the DS, but I'd call it the Nintendo BS, right? I know they already did that, but it's the Nintendo BS, right? And the slogan would be it's no BS.
Yeah.
This is real.
Whereas DS stood for
it's
dual.
OBS, like the thing we're
No.
recording in.
Right. So
Yeah.
the point is
Whereas
that
the DS stood for dual screen. That was DS.
Yeah.
BS stands for bubbles in the screen because there definitely are after all this
Imagine-
It stands for bull screen.
Yeah.
imagine
full
with the
screen. Yeah.
technology we have in the 21st century,
Yeah.
how quickly we could make DS games.
Uh-huh.
The library would grow in orders of magnitude overnight.
Yeah.
And then
You probably could make a game for $33.
so there you go. That's
you
what
just point at their camera. They
Yeah.
can't possibly
one can see.
you.
I thought. Maybe it has a wide lens.
Ethan, for the love of all the
Yeah,
good,
please.
what have you been playing?
Please.
What have you been playing? I'm so interested.
So, I have been playing some more of the new update for Enshrouded.
Yes.
It's gotten a surprising amount of buzz. Like,
Oh.
a lot of people are talking about it right now. And it got a big boost
Yeah.
in sales, too.
It's more
like, active
popular than you
players.
think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, in this latest update, there's been a lot of talk.
They definitely cook.
They cooked. Yeah, absolutely. They added in some things that the game had really needed, and they also just changed some things that lose their effect. When you start the game off, like you are in this area and the like valleys are covered in the shroud, and whenever you go down into them, you can't fast travel. You can't see super far. The enemies are stronger. And there's better gear to get, and you have this timer counting down.
Yeah.
Right? It's really cool. As you get further in the game, while the enemies and everything keep getting tougher, the shroud kind of becomes easier to manage.
Yeah.
It's easier to like use like abilities to fly up higher and to get out of it
Yeah.
faster. You can kind of just run your way through
It's
it.
like the gloom in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
First time you encounter it, you're like, I can't do anything about this. As soon as you get into it, you're like,
Yeah, it actually is kind of the same problem because in Shrouded, the further you got in, you just have so many abilities and the monsters don't have a ton of answers for it.
Yeah.
They added in, basically almost doubled the amount of enemies in the game with this update. And a lot of them are Shroud enemies for the medium and late game.
Yeah.
And so like before, it's like some of
Shroud
the
enemies are enemies that are only in the Shroud?
They're mostly in the Shroud. Yeah.
Okay.
They're the Shroud doesn't have regular enemies. It only has Shroud enemies. Sometimes you'll see Shroud enemies elsewhere. But like the normal Shroud enemies are like people who've been like warped by it. And so they're like, you know, they've got like they're zombie-esque, not really, but some of them have bows and arrows, some of them use magic, but a lot of them can't really catch you. If you just run fast enough, they can't catch you. First of all, they updated the AI. Those enemies just fly after you now. They go upstairs after you. If you're standing on a rock, they now have jump animations. They'll like jump up to get you.
Yeah.
It's great. But they also added in a bunch of new monsters, and it's fun to just kind of run across them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are horrifying, and they will chase you down so fast or like spring out of the ground at you that, and some of them are like mid-air enemies. So like it now makes it when you get to the medium ranked Shroud, like you get that sense of panic again. You know, like it's like once you figure out how to beat the early Shroud in the previous versions, you've kind of figured out how to beat the Shroud. You might just struggle with an enemy in it.
Yeah.
Now with this update, it's like, oh no, once you figure out how to beat the Shroud, like the next Shrouds down the line are going to have even more complications. It's going to make that timer really feel present.
Yeah.
And so I've been playing through it a little more, getting a little further, kind of re-exploring some areas. Yeah. And it's been a blast. The other great thing about it is as they update and like change the terrain, now the Shroud, they did the graphics update was amazing, but which we talked about a little last time. But another thing that really helps the graphics update is that like when you go to certain areas of the Shroud, they've redesigned them. So cool. There's now a Shroud where like the sand underneath is all glowing. And so like as you go through the fog, as you're coming down, you go through like blue fog, and then there's like these glowing orange patches in the sand below. Cool. It's great. The visuals just, it's kind of like, imagine if you like picked up Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild today, and like as soon as you got your glider out, the developers have just added stuff to like you're looking down, you're like, oh, there wasn't a village there before. It's just like dived out. It is kind of a neat feeling.
That would be neat, but Nintendo never does anything for us at any point that makes us happy. They would never.
Quin's gone into like some sort of psyche lock where he's referring to himself as us.
Imagine if Nintendo was like, free update for Breath of the Wild that adds new towns, new things, all this. It's completely free. What do you mean that you have to pay for a graphics update on the Nintendo Switch 2? That was a dream, a nightmare, but it's real. It's real. Is Enshrouded out of early access?
No.
It's not yet. And
it never will be.
They already announced when it will be at the beginning of early next year.
Okay.
They said they have it planned for early next year.
Cool.
They also mentioned the day the Switch got announced.
Yeah.
They also like cheekily mentioned, oh yeah, when is console release coming?
Yeah.
Who knows, right? Like clearly they have something in mind.
Man, there's so many games coming out. It's like so much exciting
It is
stuff.
crazy. Yeah.
Is there anyone who
ahead.
hasn't said what they've been playing?
No, we all have.
Oh, okay.
I
We're all
mean,
good.
other than me, but
Other
I
than
haven't
you,
been
Harrison.
playing anything. So
What have you been playing?
More
Is it
Why
Final
don't you answer that
Fantasy
question?
14?
you don't have to answer that
It's pretty
question.
obvious.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
14.
Well, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. I just raid. I'm still going through this current tier. I'm still stuck on M6S,
Mhm.
as everyone else is, because of ad phase. If you raid in Final Fantasy 14, you've been doing this new tier. When I say I'm stuck at ad phase, you'll immediately go, I get that.
There's gonna be one dude in the comments going, "Yeah, I get it," and it's Harris.
Yeah, it's just him.
What makes it worse is that I am the off tank, and if I can't, it'll take like the
whole pod.
It'll take the whole
explain,
podcast to explain like why being off tank for that fight sucks.
Mhm.
But just know that I get my smashed by Yans for like 2 hours every night.
I'm gonna
It's
make
awful.
you edit this pod, so you have to put all.
Harrison,
bleep
I'm
all that.
sorry.
Get into the comments when this episode releases and tell us if you ever cleared it.
Okay, I would just like to. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I don't know what a Yan is. I don't know
It's
what
from
you.
Final Fantasy 9.
Okay, I don't know what that is either.
Final Fantasy 9 is a video game that came out on the PlayStation 1.
Keep up with the Final Fantasy reference.
Which
no one else is having.
Which
trouble
one
with
is
this.
9? Is that the
9
one
is
with
the-
the
It's
the
dog
ninth
guy
one.
or something, right?
He's got the
No,
monkey
the
tail.
monkey
guy.
Zidane.
Although
Monkey
it
guy.
turns out
Never
he's
played that
supposed.
one.
It turns out he's
Um,
supposed to be a cat.
I don't
You
care.
have you heard that?
Yeah, I don't care. The point.
No, that was just
Oh
that
my
was
God.
just in a like a developer asks thing. The artist was like
They
were
failed because
talking
he's a
to.
monkey.
Okay,
Yeah, they said
yeah.
they said he was designed after a cat,
Imagine
and I
that
was
he's
like,
got
yeah,
He has
that's
like a
ridiculous.
yeah, just like my
tail
cat.
that, like,
There's like a
grabs onto
gibbon in the
trees.
background.
Yeah,
House.
that's
It's like,
ridiculous.
This weird cat I
My
found.
favorite
I
cat.
All right,
Yeah,
so
it's a
I'm
rescue.
just so
Yeah.
okay. So a Yan. I don't know what you said. They
We've
flatten
all
your
moved.
dick every night.
Yeah.
We've all
okay.
moved on from that sentence. You can.
So
yeah.
I'm just trying to
You
understand.
live with him. Catch up with him.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
other
this
time.
is gaming.
You don't talk to him about games.
We don't
No.
talk.
outside of it. Yeah.
We don't talk.
No.
But you.
When we talk to each other at the apartment, it's about how our apartment is falling apart.
Yes.
You know what I talk
It's about how
about?
the ceiling is
with
caving
Ethan
in.
all
What?
the time
Right.
at our apartment.
Is it the news?
It's the topic of the week. I mean, this
Topic
is
of
toilet
the
talk.
week.
Topic of the week.
Topic
Give
of the
me time for the
week.
news.
It is almost 8. So
It's
Harrison,
the news.
It's news
reach
time.
your
I mean, topic
meaty
time.
claw into the topic
Time.
bag.
Make this into a
Do it.
paper airplane for me if you dare.
we're doing stuff off screen.
All right.
but no one's going to see it. This one comes from Devin.
What a shock. He's the only one that has questions left in there.
Yeah, pretty
Indie
much.
games that do too much.
Oh,
Let's talk about Enshrouded. No,
It's too much. It's an early act. No.
no, it's actually.
I don't think indie
Great
games do
example.
too much. I don't think they go far enough.
No,
Yeah,
they're-
they didn't
They're
take
definitely
it far
something
enough.
overreach.
Dinkum.
Dinkum went too far. I changed my opinion.
Wow.
You literally endlessly complained about
Yeah.
that game
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
too much.
No, I never envisioned
Yeah.
this
Was
as
that
a
an
topic.
indie game?
I didn't
Mhm.
envision this as a topic that's like a very meaty topic. Can you think of an indie game where it was like you're adding in too much? Like
Yeah.
they're like
No,
they're like
no.
this is a roguelike with platforming elements and an RPG system. And I'm like, pick two. Like you don't have to
Yeah,
pick
no, but
one.
He's a jack of all
Again-
trades, master
Yeah.
of none.
But
yes.
But not even.
We probably
listen,
forgot because most of those games are destined to fail, and so
True.
we've probably forgotten about
Well,
it.
again,
Whatever.
No,
it was.
that-
Here's the thing, though. Ethan pointing out Dinkum was really good because
Yeah.
that is like the definition of Dinkum, where if someone practices 20,000 kicks
Mhm.
and they're terrible at all of them, they're not worth the same as someone who practices one kick 20,000 times
dinkum.
and is really good,
Bruce.
right?
Yeah.
And so in the same way, dinkum fails so hard because it's like, yeah, we should have helicopters in this game,
Yeah,
right? And it's like, why don't you make it fun, you freak, right? Why don't you focus on the most basic elements? Why don't you make it look at least to the point where I do not become nauseated? Here's my experience playing Dinkum. Sorry, here's my experience playing Dinkum.
Okay, give it to us.
I start up the game.
Mm-hmm.
I have approximately a 2-hour panic attack, vomiting.
Unrelated to the game.
Just the title scene.
Okay.
The opening, I see it, I get into a panic because of past experience, past trauma.
Right.
It's called Dinkum trauma, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's vomiting,
Okay.
crying,
Right.
rolling on the floor, passing out,
Yep.
okay? Playing the game. Repeat.
The 5 stages
Okay,
of grief.
That explains it.
stages of
The
Dinkum.
smell,
Yeah.
I started playing Dinkum.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
right.
Dinkum looks so disgusting that it's honestly...
But is that them doing too much?
No, I'm not. They are doing too much.
He's like,
but
no, I'm not on topic.
No. What I'm
not
saying
talking about the topic.
is that too much is a relative term here, because too much
Of
could
course,
mean
sure.
that you do a million things adequately, but you don't do anything incredibly, okay?
Mhm.
But there's another way to look at this, which is that by virtue of doing so many things, they don't even accomplish their most basic goal.
Interesting.
Because Dinkum looks
Yeah.
ugly. It doesn't play as well as other games that are in the same style, okay? And it basically looks you in the face and just says, you're going to eat the slop because you have no other options, right? And also, we're selling out to an AI company.
I was saying, and also you
because-
have lots of other options because
And you have-
modern gaming.
And modern gaming. You just go on Steam and look. But my point is that because they're trying so much, they're just putting so much in it. We're adding all these updates. We're selling out to AI. That takes time, right? You end up with a game that, like on paper, people will look at that and be like, look how many options there are in this game. Look at this. You can go explore. You can fight crocodiles. Don't you want to do that in Animal Crossing? No. They're your neighbor, right? My point is...
If you
that
got them, you're doing it wrong.
My point is that in a game like that, if they had, before adding all that stupid, just throwing all sorts of content in it, if they had said, why don't we make the life sim elements good? Why don't we make the game not make me vomit with fear and anxiety, right? Why not make the game fun, period? That's doing too much. Stop. Claire Obscura they spent $33 and they made a game that everyone loves. Dinkum?
What's
Come
that
on,
game where you play as the little hobbit-looking child and you have to make a friends with all the different animal people?
The Shire.
That game overreached big time.
Pine.
I think it was an indie game. Is it called Pine?
Yeah, that game
overreached.
Mega overreached.
I don't know what that is.
I find that it happens a lot in like pixel graphics games. Where like,
not one of those.
Where like there's too much going on screen. They're trying to have you juggle too much all at once.
What's an example of a pixel graphic game?
So I'll give you an
Because
example.
they're all great. So
They're definitely no.
all
For me,
great.
Terraria was that. Terraria just did too much.
I think Starbound was
Starbound was
I would
really
say
bad about
that's,
it.
That's worse than
Where-
Terraria.
It's got like 17 mechanics that you've got to try to get down. And if they had just narrowed the scope of the game, again, scope creep. If they just narrowed the scope of the game a little bit,
scope creep. Ding.
then it wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah.
Like,
It's sad because my example too kind of does the same thing. And
Yeah.
I don't think this is a bad game, but and it's a game I've talked about before. It's a game that I really enjoyed for a little while until I started to learn the scope of it, and that it just did too much. Is the game Outward? That's a great game.
It's a good game.
It's so cool.
But it does.
But at some point you realize that like it's doing too much. So like the whole idea is it's like it's almost a Souls-like in that like dodging
Combat-wise,
wise it's kind of similar, but it's like this open world game where you start off in this village. You were trying to go out on this like go sailing to like pay off this debt, but then the ship you're on crashes into this lighthouse right before it gets back to your village.
Yeah.
So you wash up on shore and you're completely out of money. So you basically like get exiled from your village. And you can still like wander around your village, but you can't like keep your house there.
Yeah.
And the thing that it starts off great, like that's really cool. You go and pick out a weapon. It's a little Zelda-esque, and it's like your character like has this moment where you're just kind of like, you know, the whole world's out there. This other character talks with you about it. She's like, you know, you can go anywhere and do anything you want. You don't have to be stuck in this little village forever. And so then you like step out of the front of your village, and it's like the music's great and the visuals are cool. It kind of reminds you of like an old like PlayStation 2 game, like bumped up a little bit, and the world just kind of opens up. You can see like a mountain in the distance and just go walking to it. Like it's got a big adventure fields that are the different zones. It's so cool. And then you realize that like the leveling system is slow and methodical, and if you pick the wrong things, you get like funneled into the wrong traits. And then if you die, the game auto saves and there's consequences to being defeated. You've lost gear or you've been captured.
You're in a prison.
One of them, you're just like in a prison. It's cool idea, but then at some point you realize that like you can invest a lot and then like mess certain things up and then kind of get caught into like death spirals. Where like I lost my gear in this bandit base. They threw me out of their base. I lost a day. I tried to go back in, got beat up again, got put in their jail, spent like 5 days, eventually got out of their jail, got back, and then I found out my town had been destroyed because after like so much time the original town gets destroyed. And I'm like,
if you want to have stakes like that in the game, everything's got to be so tight. You can't ever feel like you like got cheated out of stakes like that. I love games that have high stakes like that, but they've got to be really tight. You know, they've got to be like really well put together and no jank, because you don't want jank to cost you your run.
And I think originally indie games, the beauty of them was the fact that like they were a return to the old school approach of making games. Games were getting bigger and weirder and like more expansive, and they were doing so much. And then indie games came along and were like, what if we made like Super Nintendo games? And then as the years have gone on, now indie games, a lot of indie developers are going, what if we made N64 PS1 style games? And like, that's a really, I'm not saying you have to do that, because obviously games like Balatro are really popular and people really love them. And they're totally unique. It's, you know, indie games are also fun because they're kind of art house games. But the point where they go too far is when like we kind of talked about this in many pods ago. We've done 39 of these, guys. This is number 39.
That's crazy.
What a nightmare.
40. Yeah, I know.
That's horrible.
Good job, Quinn. You survived them.
We're still not bringing in Patreon money.
No,
I was promised Patreon money.
We'd be paying it to ourselves at this point.
No, but we talked about the fact that like limitation inside of a game is not always a bad thing.
No,
usually a good thing.
Like, I know that you want to be able to turn the items off in Mario Kart, but now in 8 that they allow you to, I never turned them off. Like, it was a fun novelty thing, but the game doesn't work anymore.
Like, it's designed around them.
It's so broken if you take out even just one. If you take out blue shells first, it gets way far ahead and it's not fun. So like the indie games a lot of times is like, let's throw everything at the wall, and they end up with, you know, the thing with like a camel that it was a horse designed by a committee, where like it's just a hodgepodge and they're just doing too many things. And like I think the saddest part about it is there's like a good game in there. But then like it's almost worse when there's a bunch of bloat, because it's not like, it's not a game like Yooka-Laylee where it's like, this is kind of incomplete, but I'm going to push through because I want to see the end. When it's bloated, it's like, man, this is a fun game, but I know that the further I go, the worse it'll get. So that's sort of my take on indie games.
It can be that way. It can be that way. I think it has to do with a lot of scope creep. Big companies struggle with it, and little companies struggle with it maybe even harder.
Which when they struggle with it, it just stays in early access forever.
It can be kind of devastating. That was a good topic.
Thanks.
We'll move on to
thanks.
one.
I like it. Let's do another
Harrison,
one.
hit us with another one.
Hit me with your best topic.
Wait, I gotta put it on camera.
Yeah, it's got to be on
That's
camera.
right.
Because when I do it down here, it just
looks like you're reaching at your crotch
Yeah.
and rummaging around, and that you're doing that the whole rest of the episode anyway.
Yeah.
So why do we want to make a special segment for it?
I can't let people in on the behind the scenes magic.
That's right.
This one comes from, I'm assuming Quentin is just Q. Remakes.
No, that's Q, like the QAnon.
Oh, I was thinking Q from Star Trek.
Q from Star
I
Trek.
was thinking
Q from
Q,
Star Trek.
the biblical source.
Oh,
okay,
the
sure,
academic.
sure.
Okay,
Go for it.
designation. Yeah. mhm.
Remakes and remasters. How do they impact the gaming scene? I feel like you all have done
We
this.
did that like last
Okay,
week.
yeah. So this is great. We did this when you weren't here.
We did this when you weren't here.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And
so
so
we've all said our piece on it.
Yeah.
Quinn,
Well,
So,
I just
say
want
his
Quinn
piece, and then
to,
we'll do another.
Quinn, tell us your thoughts.
Have you
could you read the
wa-
question
I
one
would
more
love
time
for him
from this
to have
genius?
actually watched what we said.
He didn't.
He didn't.
All
There's
right,
no
the,
chance.
the question one more time.
Mhm.
Remakes and remasters. How do they impact the gaming scene? Quentin, your answer.
Yeah, Quinn,
He has no
what's your
idea what
answer?
we said. That's the
I don't
funniest
know
part.
what
No.
you said,
That's
but
the best
I'm going to
part.
say this is my belief.
Okay,
Yeah.
this
Is
is also
that
your
You
topic.
didn't go far enough.
Well, I didn't go far enough
Oh,
because I'm going to say, and also I'm going to say that you all agree with whatever point I'm about to make. I'm going to say that remakes, remasters, whatever you want to call them, they affect everything, every
Oh.
medium, everything. And how do they affect it? That's right, folks, negatively. There is no positive to this story. The only positive is that one day there won't be video games anymore because there won't be a planet, all right? And we won't have to worry about it.
just gonna put the Debbie Downer ring around him. from
No,
SNL. Yeah.
this isn't a
That's
downer
copyrighted.
topic, okay?
Mm.
This isn't a downer topic. When we
Of course not. You're just talking about the end of the planet.
guess what? When we ascend to be with Xenu, we're gonna have brand new mediums of entertainment. Elron's gonna write some
Okay.
books that are fire. Okay,
Great.
My point is,
Keep going.
okay, remakes, and I've said this before. Remakes are the indication of a dying industry.
Hmm.
It is the essence of either a lack of creativity or creatives who are so stifled by industry that they are forced to produce this garbage, okay? Because a company says, actually, our numbers, our supercomputer, which determines what exactly we create so that we can get the most juice out of people, right? They say this, these evil monster people,
That
right?
was a Simpsons character, that voice.
It had
That's
to.
actually
Good.
his
It was
impersonation
good.
of me.
That's me talking
yeah.
about Harrison. And they go, so you must create Final Fantasy VII again, right?
Right.
And someone, this person, they're chained to the radiator, Nobu. All those folks, they're like in the old folks'
music.
home, and
The guy who made the music.
they're like, you have to do the music again.
They're
And
pulling a misery. Is what
he's
you're
like,
saying. Yeah.
he's like, please, no, and they're like, just do the same soundtrack, and he's like, okay, millions of dollars, I'll do it. But the point is that
yeah.
these poor old people,
Mhm.
they're being dragged out of their graves to make the thing that they made when they were still able to walk without crutches and walkers and canes.
Sure.
It's inhumane. When Harrison Ford came out at the Game Awards because of Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana
Indiana
Jones,
Jones.
right?
Right.
He came out there, all right, and he walked up like to an extent
There
of
was-
bow-leggedness that he
there
looked like
was
he had been
no-
riding a horse for the last month.
There was no actual
Okay.
smoke machine behind him. That was just his
That
skin
was
turning
just
to
him,
sand.
I
Like,
mean,
that
that
was
just
him turning
follows
up.
him everywhere.
When I saw that, all I could think
That's
was,
the specter of death that just can't
Yeah.
quite catch up
I'm
to
like,
him.
you shouldn't have to summon a necromancer to
No,
like put on
right.
a production,
Yeah.
a theater production here, right? Ian McKellen is turning to dust. Let him
Right.
sleep. Okay,
Right. Yep.
so when I see these remakes,
Right. Bring it home.
right, I go, okay, here's an idea. What if instead of that, if you gave a fraction of your effort that these remakes are given,
Yeah.
you could make a dozen original games, literally a dozen original games, gut these remake projects, make something original, because at the end of the day, you're never going to live up to these incredible masterpieces of the past when it was a pure idea. Because at the soul of a man, they can detect purity, okay? They can detect goodness. when they see these original projects, it resonates with their soul. It resonates with their soul. Okay,
where this is going.
Pure games will rise again.
Yeah, that was
we just need to create a state for pure games,
Right.
and everyone else can.
Yeah.
all the
There
other
you
games
go.
can live out.
That was
That's
that was
my
a
point.
passionate argument.
The pure games need
And you all agreed with me?
I kind of like remakes. They're pretty
yeah,
fun.
they're pretty good.
They're pretty fun.
It should also be pointed out that Final Fantasy VII is being made by a team of junior developers. who didn't work on the
Let's just
original.
clarify that. Okay. Harrison, reach
okay.
your
One-
meaty claw.
I would just like to
one
point
more.
out. Wait, real quick. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, real quick.
Oh my
I just want to
gosh.
point out on the comment of junior developers
Yeah.
developing these
Yes.
sorts of remakes.
Right.
Yeah.
This is in effect if I came into someone's home wearing a fake white mustache and cap and was like, "Hi, son, I'm your grandpa," right?
I mean, I
Okay,
wish you
you've
would.
done that.
I did that one
wish-
time.
I wish
okay?
you would because I miss my grandpa.
Yeah.
My point is that to take the work of someone else and to wear their wig, and say like,
Yeah.
yes, this was great when your grandpa played ball with you. I'm your grandpa now.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Your grandpa.
It's
What if my
twisted.
grandpa hired you to do that though?
It's
Yeah,
sick.
right.
It's
His
twisted.
dying wish.
That's also sick and
no,
twisted.
he's still alive. He's just in the background going
What-
like, "Yo, you're doing good."
What if
What-
my grandpa
Can't
made
stand
Final
up.
Fantasy VII?
Yeah,
I'm just saying. So that's sick and twisted. Also, my
Okay.
spirit gets close to that evil and rejects it.
Okay, let's do one more topic.
Horror.
All
Let's hear another
Harrison,
topic.
Reach
Here we
your
go.
beefy claw.
We're gonna have to fill it back up.
Really?
We're going
I know, I
through-
think there's
we're
only
going
like
through
three.
quick.
Two left.
I have-
not including this
Okay,
one.
I have
here we
like
go.
3
All right.
topics I need to give Devin, and I haven't.
All right, this one comes from Ty.
Oh yeah.
This one has an addendum only if Q is present.
Oh, he wanted you here because he loves
Things
you.
modern games do fundamentally better than old games.
Okay, all right.
That's good. That's
I
good.
Yeah.
have.
I think you have to go last.
Yeah, I have to think
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
that one.
I think you have to
Yeah.
go last on this.
Because
Yeah,
you can't
well,
say
it's
you
been
can't
so
say
much time to think
nothing.
And I have to think about that one.
I was a
What-
little bit proud about
what are
this.
they
That was
I'm
pretty
not
good.
gonna lie.
Pretty good.
I'm
What
not
did
gonna
you?
lie.
What did got you thinking of this topic?
I was thinking about how obnoxious Quentin is about everything.
Yeah, I knew that was. I could tell that was. That
No,
was the
I was actually playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Poor
Yeah.
guy.
And one of the things that I think that game does, Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite games of all time, I should point out.
Incredible.
It's incredible. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, one of the things that it does is the characterization in that game is phenomenal. Like unmatched even by the original.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is I was like, how incredible. I did not expect that because I feel like most of those characters have been handled pretty badly in various other media. And it got me thinking that like surely there are things that are just better in modern games because there is a lot that's debatable. You know what I mean? Because I go back and I play Ocarina of Time, or I go back and I play even like GoldenEye, and I'm like, man, there's certain things in this game that just like are just better than what they do today. You know?
Yeah.
But there are other things that it's like, oh no, you know what?
Because you said fundamentally.
We've just moved.
Yeah.
We've moved beyond. This was a limitation or something that they just didn't understand back then, and we've perfected it. We moved beyond.
Yeah,
it.
because even graphics is something where that's not fundamentally better. It's fundamentally more complex.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Games
better
are ugly. Games are
implies-
frequently ugly.
Yeah,
And graphics
right,
would
right.
not qualify
Yeah,
for this.
because and also the preferences of art style
Of course.
are inherently subjective.
Yeah.
So you can't
Of
say
course.
that it's better to have more realistic
I think-
or complex
I
graphics.
think one of them that when I think about it, I'm not sure old games had even a good like framework to do, and when it would happen, it would be like stand out.
Yeah.
But when you actually stop and compare it, modern games keep up with is having moments of quiet.
Ooh, yeah.
Old games didn't. They wanted you to be playing, doing, engaging every single second you were playing.
Action-packed, yeah.
Ocarina of Time, phenomenal game. You come out, like, you literally step out of the forest.
Kokiri, yeah.
There is a giant flying top hat trying to buzzsaw you to death, right?
Yeah,
They literally cannot let you walk across a field.
Yeah.
You get to Hyrule Castle, and the sun goes down, and the army of the dead come out to kill it. It cannot let you stop. It can't let you just sit on a rock and look at the moon, right?
Yeah.
Because something's got to be happening. Even when we got into like GameCube era, games like The Wind Waker had like, you get to an island. The islands, they can make them bigger or smaller, but you really should have a puzzle. You get to like Dragon Roost Island, and it's literally like, push some box around for a puzzle, go find the Wind Waker over here, climb up this, blow this wall up, jump over here, and now you've made it to the gift shop of the bird people, right? Like, why couldn't I have just walked around listening to this beautiful music for a while? And it's like, well, it's not bad. This is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that, like, they want you doing something constantly. And when games would have, like, you not do something, like Twilight Princess would have you just, like, ride through a big open field and just, you can just look. Players kind of didn't like that as much.
Yeah. They call it empty world.
Then you have Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah,
the world is empty. There's nothing in Shadow. There's
the Colossus,
empty.
But see, Twilight Princess, bad game. Shadow of the Colossus, good game. Kino,
right?
Okay,
right.
Good game. We can tolerate bad things. Bad game. We can't tolerate anything.
See, here
I would argue though that people like that Shadow of the Colossus is so empty. That's kind of part of the point.
Lonely games have got their own
in Shadow of the Colossus kind of figured it out, and they couldn't figure it out again for a long time.
Right.
Elden Ring does quiet way better than Shadow of the Colossus does. It just because
never played Elden Ring, so I don't.
But they are running off the same philosophy.
Yeah.
And the philosophy is the quiet, the openness. What does it do? Well, in Shadow of the Colossus, you can see a giant thing off in the distance.
Yeah. Sure.
And you're anticipating, you're like, oh my God, that thing's so huge.
That building is
and you're
an enemy.
going, you're going toward it. In Elden Ring, you step out and you look over the world, and this quiet, beautiful sounds kick in, the soft rain falling, and you look out there and you're like, well, I know that a church is going to have a certain upgrade item in it, and I can see this like cave over here. And sometimes caves, you walk in 4 feet and, that's it. And other times you go in and you have an insane boss fight at the end of a crazy dungeon. You look out and you're like, oh my God, the possibilities. I got to just go off, Same thing with like Breath of the Wild. You get up to a really high point, or you glide and a little doo-doo-doo music starts, right?
Yeah.
It's those moments
Gives you a
of
second
quiet.
to breathe, yeah.
You look around, you can see like the big lizard robot moving around Death Mountain, or you can catch something out of the corner of your eye, or just a village, or you see horses off in the distance. It uses the quiet to set up for the next moment of engagement. Old games didn't get that, and so when they step you out into Hyrule Field, you got to fight a bunch of monsters.
Yeah.
Or in Twilight Princess has you riding around. It's beautiful. I enjoy just riding around, but it's not setting up for something.
Almost like
so
the fear of boredom.
Yeah.
Like they don't want you to get bored, so they throw a bunch of stuff at you.
Yeah. Even with Shadow of the Colossus, you're not doing anything, but we've shown you the next thing you're going to do.
Yeah.
All modern games, when they have the moments of quiet, they're showing you the next thing you're going to do, and they're letting you just process a little bit. The older games didn't do that. They didn't have a framework to do
some of it. Some of it's hardware limitation. Very hard to show you.
I was going to say
what you're going toward when you're a tiny little
place. Valheim does that now.
Yeah,
where you sit around a fire and you just like get a moment to catch your breath and enjoy like the visuals and the music.
I'm going to say though that in fact, I disagree completely on the Zelda point. It's true that a lot of games were arcade style, and obviously there's absolutely no moments to breathe in those sorts of games. And Majora's Mask has time constraints, and so obviously you don't.
It also has the Termina donut that's literally just like grass, desert.
What would you
right.
Yeah.
So
a little space that
but I'll say that I think that that Zelda from A Link to the Past on has had maybe a better track record than any franchise of having moments where you sit and just look at it, where you're completely at rest, you're just at peace. If I close my eyes, and in fact, every time I close my eyes, I cannot escape it. I see every single block of the map of A Link to the Past. And all those moments that I just walked from every single corner, looked at everything, looked at all the beautiful art in that game, listen to the music. And Ocarina of Time is the same way, where yes, there's all these things going on, but they further accentuate the moments that you do get to rest. Like again, I close my eyes and I'm right there. I'm at Lon Ranch, right? And it's beautiful. The characters, I love like Malon's design and all that, right?
Yeah.
Those moments are really, really great. Now I'll say that modern games,
maybe the quiet moments in modern games.
It's not things that old games didn't do at all. It's just things that I think like it's hard for me because I agree that Zelda occasionally does have like quieter moments. I don't know that that's by design, which I think is what you're talking about.
Let me quantify it a little bit. When I'm talking about quiet, I'm not just talking about like you come to like Lon Ranch at night and hear just how
it's peaceful.
Moments when there's nothing.
Yeah.
When you just have blank space.
No content.
I think I can add to
contentless.
Okay.
Quiet as in noise. Like all like you can, there are lots of spots in old Zeldas where like there's beautiful and there's like nothing like it's all reflective, but there's a bunch of stuff to do in all of those spots.
And I think to your point, what I think
Hyrule Field in A Link to the Past is littered with just little
of course.
enemies.
What I think you're getting at is that in modern games those quiet moments are more impactful because it's like the world is more alive because of just, again, hardware limitations that you're talking about. Because you mentioned things like off in the distance that you have like an appreciation for.
The distance didn't exist in old games.
Right.
Yeah.
The one I think that is pretty much just objectively, I don't know what argument will be made for how it hasn't fundamentally gotten better, is accessibility. Like accessibility is just better now than it ever was. Like I was playing Fortnite,
I agree completely.
And I hadn't played Fortnite in a long time. But my wife wanted to play it with me, and so we started playing. And the game's very different from the last time I played it. And I noticed that like now around your reticle, it tells you like footsteps. Like you can hear it in your headset, but it tells you like footsteps and like where they're coming from, or like gunfire and like where it's coming from
for hearing impaired.
For hearing impaired.
Yeah, right.
And that hit me, and I went like, wow, like games are getting to where like even people who are less able can be on the same level as people who are.
That's important. That's important for me because as I get older, I'm slowly gonna become one of those. My eyesight's going and my ears are going, but I still want to play video games.
Yeah.
So I need those accessibility features. I know I will.
A lot of new games also have like colorblind modes. Like
they do.
Final Fantasy 14. I'm gonna keep bringing
it does.
It has colorblind modes. It along with what you were saying, it has modes where it can show you like sounds on the sides of the screen to help with like certain.
Is cool. You should at least turn on and try it
because there's some mechanics that are very like focused, the sound and color focused.
A lot of rhythm games added like a little rhythm bar so that you can visually time it and stuff. And the thing is like it's kind of controversial to talk about accessibility being a good thing because a lot of people like when their community's a little bit smaller. They like when it's more niche.
They hate the disabled.
I was gonna say they hate they hate differently abled people.
I knew a guy that this guy also knows where he was like upset when his favorite band became really popular.
Yeah,
because he was like, now more people are into it, and I was like, and he was the first person that I hung out with that talked like that, and I thought he was insane because I was like, and I was like,
I know.
And I was like, that's crazy, and you're stupid.
But that is crazy and stupid.
Because I was like, it's objectively a better thing when more people are into the thing that you like.
Yeah,
more people can. I like the fact that more people that I know got to credits on Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
I've met lots of people who played Mario 64, and I'm like, oh, isn't that last Bowser fight? And they're like, I'm going to tell you, man, I never made it past the desert level where you instantly...
Here's the thing. If you're... I agree with you completely because obviously there are people that are differently abled and they need help. On the other hand, I will say accessibility options also empower people that are simply too weak. They're simply too weak.
I think you should have if you've got a high score on a game and you should have a little wheelchair icon, just so I know.
Yeah, sure.
So I know.
Okay, I just want to be clear.
You don't need to know.
I want to know like if my high score is going to appear below yours, but mine doesn't doesn't have a little wheelchair next to it, I'm
We should
okay.
start
Well,
branding
right-
patches on these people.
Right next to
not
it,
wheelchair.
Yeah, that's it.
Why don't we put gender and
Yeah.
ethnicity?
Yeah, that's actually a great
Social
idea.
security
That's actually
numbers.
a great
why
idea.
not?
I just want to now
Because
make
if
it
like
clear.
you got a little Asian symbol on
Yeah.
next to your high
What?
score, how
Okay.
was I supposed to keep
Why
up with
go
that?
ahead and put them in
I
camps?
will
Alright,
say
you know
I
what?
was a troll back in the day,
we-
and still currently.
Yeah, you are.
Because when I would like dominate on Mario Kart,
Yeah.
I would always comment, "I'm using tilt control."
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
could
Just to make it- I
say
wasn't
that.
using
You weren't.
but just to make it seem like I was
they let
beating
you
you,
lie.
and I was using the worst
that,
controller.
So I just want to point out, I just said like 2 words, and then that
Yeah.
went completely insane.
completely
and I just want to
fantastic.
make it clear to the viewers,
It's all Quinton's fault.
to everybody at
It's
home.
all Quentin's fault.
Quinn agrees with everything I just said.
I just want to be clear. I've got a supporter of the Special Olympics literally on my fridge. I've got a fridge
I
magnet.
can confirm.
All right, so gentlemen,
let them down
Please.
off your fridge.
and it's not because I
God's
and to be clear,
Let him go.
It's not because I supported them. All right, I stole that from a kid on a wheelchair.
That makes sense.
But
because he's so weak, he couldn't fight back.
so weak.
This topic
He
for
was too busy
Quentin.
playing
All right.
video games.
I think that's a great. I think
I
that's a great
agree.
point.
Getting us back on.
Yeah.
I completely agree. That
Yeah.
is so much better. Because
Yeah.
there are. The thing is that there's this weird. I mean, we had talked about this on a topic that Ty brought up a number of podcasts back, where it's like there has been a long history of companies making accessibility controllers and things like that.
Yeah.
I think
Third party almost exclusively. Yeah.
Producer Michael B looked up a Nintendo one that was like
yeah,
really
from the
old,
80s,
right
yeah.
from the 80s or
Yeah.
something. But the extent that it's at now is something that I don't think that
It's like built into the DNA of
it's
the game.
built in,
Yeah.
and it's so
Yeah.
much easier to get these controllers. It's like I don't know how anybody argues
Yeah.
that making this more accessible is not
Like how great is it that you
such a huge win?
that like you can just like hand a controller to somebody in Mario Odyssey and now they're Cappy and Cappy's invincible and like
Mhm.
Yeah.
can just like flow. You can hand it to like your grandma and grandma can play with you and
Yeah.
not just be like completely lost and
No.
just like what's going on.
Yeah.
And the thing is too is that I also think Nintendo has done it so well because accessibility options gave birth to things like Champion Road in the 3D Mario games where like they purposefully make in-game content that is not like is not something that you would go towards unless you were like diehard into the game,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it's more difficult than
It's like optional
3D
content.
Mario
Yeah,
is
it's
where
not
they
necessary to complete the game.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's way past the roll credits. Someone can feel good about accomplishing the game.
Okay,
so fundamentally,
yeah.
accessibility.
I
is
agree.
better, yeah.
I agree.
Okay, Ty.
So
Ty?
it's no, I gave mine, which was like I think story and characterization is very strong in a lot of modern games.
Right.
Playing
Yeah.
Player Obscure probably helps with that because it has such a strong story. But I think that's to some extent you might say, well, that's because they're able to make better cinematics and stuff. But I don't even think it's that because my favorite story in a video game is from some indie games where it's all just text.
Yeah.
I think it's
right.
just a matter of having more people writing for games, so you have a bigger sample size, and the people who are doing it, more of them are taking it seriously as a medium, and you end up with some terrific stories. You end up with games like Disco Elysium or the Banner Saga that have great storytelling. You end up with your Claire Obscures and you end up with some great writing.
Mhm.
But you don't want to hear me
I'm just gonna say.
talk about-
I'm just gonna say that. So I would like to point out that I agree
Uh,
with 1/3 of this panel.
Yeah.
Here I
The best part about modern gaming, though, is remakes.
remakes.
We
yeah.
love them.
Well, you couldn't have
I'll
that
tell
bit with
you.
old games because there was nothing to
Because
remake.
there's nothing
Alright,
to remake.
so-
What are you going to remake?
What are you going to remake? The Odyssey?
I want you all to
Pong?
Pong?
stay with me.
I want an ET
Okay.
remake.
We're
this
not
is the
gonna
moment
stay
we've
with
all
you.
been waiting for.
Stay with me.
Get me.
Next topic, Harrison, yeah.
So
good topic time.
Thanks.
Crazy Taxi Tim Walz.
Yeah,
Right.
Tim Walz,
Yes.
Crazy Taxi, potential vice presidential candidate and nominee
My
Right.
president.
for the United States Democratic Party, and also
Okay.
my president.
Standing back and standing by, Mr. Walls.
Correct.
You
Okay.
can't air that.
This is all gone.
Crazy
We have
Taxi
none of
Tim
that
Walz
in here.
said the words. He said, "Crazy Taxi, big fan.
Right.
Dreamcast, big fan.
Okay.
Crazy Taxi, big fan.
Right.
GTA, too much.
Too much.
Too much.
He said that.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Okay."
Cost him the election.
It cost me the election. So
Yeah.
many criminals
I didn't vote for him because of it.
didn't vote for him because they were busy stealing cars.
All right.
I voted for Trump because he said that GTA was good.
Right. Yeah.
Of course.
So here's the thing.
He promised
right?
GTA 6. It was a campaign promise that GTA 6 was coming out this year.
Now I want to be clear.
Promise is capped.
I want to be clear that I don't believe that what I'm about to say about modern games is because of my support for Tim Walz.
Oh,
all right.
I see.
Sure.
I see.
That is just unrelated.
Yeah.
Please spit it out.
Yeah.
These games are better at doing worse, and they are better at going too far.
Okay, right.
There's a a common factor here. If you play a lot of these old games, right? They're such secure, just tight packages. They're just neat. You put them
Kind of
together.
had to be, yeah.
They kind of had to be due to the limitations. We've talked about that.
Right.
And now, because of the insane delusion of unlimited growth, we now believe that we can put money into everything in such mass that we feel like we have the power of God. But in reality, we're just ants beneath the boot of the Lord. Okay? And this is video games.
I like that your voice had to crack as you said the boot of the Lord.
Let me cook.
Okay. I don't want to let you
good
cook.
job.
I want to.
This is video games.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Quentin's new topic. Quentin's new segment. This is video games.
Video games, they go too far
Yeah.
in that they have great ambition.
Okay.
But like every time that man tries to build his tower to the heavens, it comes crumbling down, and I'm forced to learn Mandarin. I'm sorry. Can I say that one more time?
You can say it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
Will I cut it out?
I hope
Make a
you'll
little
know.
make a little wave so that Devin knows to edit here.
Edit that out.
Harrison, write the timestamp down.
Okay.
Like all of man's ambitions, they try to build their tower to the heavens, but it comes crumbling down, and I have to learn Mandarin. Okay? And it's everybody does in that scenario, and I don't want to.
You don't,
I don't
want to learn Mandarin.
I do. No, I mean I don't want to play video games.
Oh,
I do want to learn Mandarin.
Yeah.
G, let me in. G, let me in.
forgot his name.
Forgot his name. That's not a good. He's not gonna like that.
He almost said Shinzo
He almost called him
Abe.
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
G, whoever's in power by the time this podcast airs, let me in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
So they
right,
have
wrap
this.
it home.
They have this huge scope.
Yeah.
They go
Like
too
this
far and
conversation.
they never accomplish anything.
Like this conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
How's that better?
Which, to be fair, Tim Walz, Crazy Text Tim Walz also did that, and it broke my heart. My point is that they go too far, and I don't like that. In their ambition, they create nothing of artistic value. The second point that I made is that the way that they are objectively better is that they are better at bothering me, okay, or
yeah.
something
That
to that
is a
effect.
good.
It is
that's
That might be
And
my
so-
favorite thing about
Yeah,
modern games.
correct.
They can bother Quentin
Yeah.
They
more.
bother me because some people, I think that people don't really know what it looks like
Okay.
when I'm sitting there with my whiteboard, okay,
Mhm.
and I'm connecting all the dots because nobody else puts these pieces together.
Right.
Imagine if you had 1,000 puzzles and with only a hammer and an X-Acto knife, you made them all fit together.
Okay.
That's me
Right.
figuring this out. Video games are such a grand conspiracy incorporated in modern culture, which is a grander conspiracy.
Right.
All that is against me personally. Okay?
For audio listeners, Quentin's eyes look like he just drank the fluid out of an air conditioner.
Well, I did that before the podcast,
Yeah, right.
but I obviously... Wait, did you put that in my drink?
I did, actually. That's
Okay.
what that is.
That's why it was frozen.
Oh, okay.
It was free on.
Everything that these last 39 episodes that I've been talking about, right, has really been to encapsulate the
Right.
point that video games are almost like they were created in a lab to make me angry. Okay?
Right.
Because they highlight every single part of the nightmarish capitalist state that we're living in,
Okay.
where we spin out old things that were good and try to brand them as new. right? Which, I should mention I did advocate for doing that if I was the overlord of Nintendo.
You sure did.
But this is different than that.
Right, because your brain is broken.
Right. Okay?
Right.
They do so many things that just upset me worse than fundamentally anyone could in the past. Okay?
Okay. Right.
And that is better. It's better. Oh, and also they're. I should also mention they're better at making money.
I might be able to
because they charge $100 per
So
game.
what you're saying is,
but I don't think they are better at making money because they cost too much to make.
So wait a second. I think I've got the.
You got it.
So what you're saying is, you didn't really care for Dinkum.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I think.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I was pretty lukewarm on it.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
I got it.
In summation.
What I think
Summary.
Quin's saying is he didn't even play Balatro.
No, I know. Yeah. I'm gonna cut everything.
found
I'm
me
gonna
out.
I'm gonna slowly fade Quentin as he's saying that, and when it cuts back, you just say it.
That
I got you. I
encapsulates it pretty well.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
It
makes so much
I didn't
sense.
care for
Real
this
time.
too
Good,
much.
good topic.
Yeah,
What's
thank you.
the
That's it.
It's me taking a big old.
Can we go to the bumper?
Go for it.
What's the bumper?
Games I haven't played.
Ooh.
Anyways, guys,
Lefty.
welcome to Games I Haven't Played but I Have Strong Opinions About.
That's right.
It's a game where you say a game you haven't played, you say your strong opinion, and no one in this room can ask a follow-up question. But you know who can? You can ask a follow-up question.
Before we do that, I just want to say I realized that I talked so much in that last segment. Just talked and talked and talked.
Yep.
It was too much. And I just want to say I really should have just said video games are better at making me hard.
Okay.
Hard with anger.
Yeah.
That's a better way. I'll cut
That's
to you
a
just
tagline.
saying that. I'll just
hate
cut to you
everything
saying
about
that.
it. I hate
Yeah, that's
everything
Quentin's
about it.
catchphrase somehow.
Pretty much.
We
I
really
hate that it's
push
become
for
his
it.
catchphrase.
We really push for it not to be.
Makes me hard with anger.
I miss Ifter
Yeah, I do miss Ifter Dude.
All right.
All right,
Let's start with
sorry.
Ethan.
Yeah. Ethan, let's hear it.
Okay. The game I haven't played but I have a very strong opinion about is the game Clair Obscura. Expedition 33.
What if that was all of ours? Except for Ty's.
Here is
No,
What if it was mine?
I have a
been
very
lying.
strong opinion that no matter that this game is so good that if you have a negative opinion of the French, it should reverse it.
Oh,
That's how good this game is. I look at it and I'm just
every
like,
American should play it.
you got to play it.
Now I don't want to play it.
You should be afraid of it.
Now
You should be actively afraid of it.
Yeah, I don't know
He
if I
might
can
lose his hatred.
Yeah,
for the
it's-
French.
If Otto von Bismarck played that game, then the state of Germany
Yeah.
would never exist.
It
If
would
you
never
already
exist.
like
Because
the
he
French,
would've-
though,
the
it will make you
Franco-Prussian
hate
Yeah.
them.
Never have
Yeah.
Like,
started.
this is all fine.
Yeah.
This is all fine.
But if you already like
If
the
only.
French, it'll make you hate them.
It'll make you hate
they
them.
made it. They made it hundreds of years too late.
All right,
Could have
gentlemen.
saved them.
By a hair.
If the French play it, they'll start liking themselves.
Right.
No, that's too far. That, can't
That might not be
happen.
possible,
That can't-
but
that can't
yeah,
happen.
okay.
All right, Devin, why don't you go next?
I haven't played Dinkum,
Oh.
but I feel strongly that Quentin's probably wrong about it.
That's a very strong opinion.
That
We
I
gotta
feel
play
very
that.
strongly.
Very strong.
And I was like, my interest in the game was like dead, and
Yeah.
then Quentin starts complaining about it, and it just starts going like, probably good.
It has
Probably
been
good.
noted that I can sell anything, so
Sure,
I'm
you
great
can.
at advertising, and sometimes
job.
that means saying that I
job.
hate it, and then
Quentin's like Balaam trying to curse Israel. He just keeps blessing
just keep
video
blessing
games.
video games every day.
And we all are
We're really
like,
making
oh,
a lot
wow.
of
we're in Sunday school
Bible
today.
references
People
today.
who
I
like
definitely,
the
I have
yeah.
often called Quin Balaam's ass.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he talks too much.
He talks
Is that
too
what-
It's more
much.
than something that
And it was a miracle
And
that
he's
someone in my
useless.
circumstances can speak at all.
That's true.
Okay.
It's true.
That's incredible.
It's true because your brain is broken.
My brain is broken.
And he's always asking, going, "Why are you hitting me?"
Yeah. Also that.
That's why you called him that.
it
All
is.
right.
Shut up, Balaam's ass.
All right, Ty, let's hear it.
I have never played mouthwashing, but my strong opinion is that it's essential to combat gingivitis. No, I
just
really
stop there.
really feel
That was
like
pretty
this game mouthwashing is probably just for like people who liked the Saw franchise and thought it was really deep. I see a lot of overlap.
What do you know about mouth washing?
It
Sorry,
looks
that's
like
a question. I can't ask a question.
Looks like,
Forget that I said that.
yeah.
It just kind of looks like torture porn.
Forget that I said that.
And Ty's answer was but bleep.
And we talked over it, so it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter was that I wasn't supposed to ask a question, and therefore whatever you said, I was going to talk over you.
You get one demerit.
Demerit.
Only one demerit. Are you kidding me?
Your first
on top of the other.
I didn't say how many you've accrued.
No, this is my first demerit. It's somehow
wild.
Somehow, yeah.
I don't know
The
how.
first rule you broke.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Harrison, what's a game you haven't played but you have strong opinions about?
So many, Harrison. There's so many games we've tried to get you into.
Metroid Dread.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it's probably the best Metroid game.
Oh.
I wanna.
But I've never played a Metroid game, so I don't know.
An opinion of phenomenal games that all could be argued at. That's still a strong opinion.
I also
his
really
game
laugh
pick-
whenever someone is stating their strong opinion and says probably.
Yeah, it's probably
maybe.
You know, I don't really feel that strongly about it. You know, in fact, I'm really sorry I brought it up.
An opinion about a video game
There
I
you
haven't
go.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
It wasn't strong, but it was an opinion.
It was an opinion.
Okay, I've got one.
Go for it.
This is amazing because usually I sit around, I'm like scratching my chin, trying to figure out, and then one of you says, "Here is a game. I know you haven't played it because it's a video game.
It exists, right?
You know, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't played that, but no, I've actually got one. And this may shock you, gentlemen. You may have assumed that I've played this, but I have not.
Oh.
This is a juicy scoop.
Don't laugh if it's Dinkum.
No, I've played Dinkum, unfortunately. I have not played Shenmue 3.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I've not played Shenmue 3.
Got it.
Shenmue 1 and 2 are classics.
Yeah.
They're dream
Perfect.
classics.
Yep.
If you haven't played Shenmue especially, I mean, I have a lot of fondness for Shenmue, the original, but if you haven't played either, they're both really
I
interesting
think it was
games.
made by the people who made Yakuza.
My point is, I think so. I've never played a Yakuza game, so
I haven't either.
I could have picked any of those. But I'm going to say that Shenmue 3 is a nightmarish bastardization of what we previously had. And the former glory that we used to have in the world has gone out of it. Okay? Because when I saw what it looked like, I immediately was like, oh, okay, that's kind of gross looking. And then I thought about it sort of philosophically, and I was offended by it. In the sense that what I think is that it simply is one of the contributing factors to my sort of, overall negative view of these resurrections of old franchises, because we talked about remakes and remasters, but to add on top of that is when you have a long dead franchise, right? And you're like, all right, folks, we're gonna release a new one. Are you gonna put any effort into it? It's coming out tomorrow. Coming out tomorrow.
I just had the idea and it's coming out tomorrow.
It's coming out tomorrow, folks.
So that's your strong opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that Shenmue 3 is a disgrace. I haven't even read a review for it.
That might be the first legit strong opinion.
I just think that
it took 38 episodes.
Yeah, it only took 39 episodes.
Yeah.
I just think that when they
ask.
resurrect these old franchises, you really have such a significant chance that they are just doing a quick kind of grab that's not really going to live up to the originals. Obviously, there are some resurrections where they kind of bring back Donkey Kong or something, and it's good. But
all right, guys. So that was good. That was a pod, guys. If you're still here, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for surviving all the chaos.
You did it.
Actually, go down there and tell us about your favorite remake and how great remakes are.
Oh,
remakes, remasters.
Well, I love them. So you probably do too.
Tell us something you think new games actually do better than
what do you
old
think?
games.
Yeah.
Here's an idea.
There's plenty of things old games did better.
Yeah, we're kind of a retro pod. We're literally trying to get Star Fox to come back.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But
here's
we do
an idea.
modern games.
What if you just comment anything, please comment. We need
Anything.
comments.
Yeah,
I
don't feel like we have to control that.
Also, go check the comments, see how Harrison's doing on his rating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how's Harrison
Harrison's
doing down
doing.
there?
See how he's
I will-
progressing.
I will leave a comment every single day.
Oh.
That'll-
On this one.
that'll
episode.
save
There's
us.
going to be like 7 comments.
700
for the next-
comments, yeah. and
All right, guys.
Guys, thanks for see you next week.
Put something in the comments, an emoji. Goodbye.
Enjoy your day.
Ah!